The name of our farming operation is Pringle Family Farms, which is a partnership of myself and Chris Bogner.
Mm-hmm.
And we farm in the Texas Panhandle. We farm irrigated corn and cotton. And on our dry land acres, we raise milo or cotton or wheat, depending on the rainfall at the time of planting.
It's still rainfall dependent up there.
It really is rainfall dependent. And, dry land crops are kind of a 1 in 3 year probability of making a crop. So it's largely an insurance game.
Mm-hmm.
So everything kind of lives and dies by your irrigated acreage.
Right. You are in a part of Texas that I think has been described as being pretty harsh from time to time.
That's right. Quite harsh. Mother Nature. I come from the Midwest. I'm a corn, soybean, hog farmer from west central Illinois.
Okay.
And learning to farm in the Texas Panhandle was eye-opening experience. Mother Nature is a lot more ruthless in West Texas. And in fact, the conquistador Cortez, funny story, said in his journal after he did a tour up through what included the Texas Panhandle, this would have been in the early mid-1500s, he said, this place is not inhabitable by humans, speaking to how harsh Mother Nature actually is.
Yeah, but you do have some water up there, right?
We do. The water comes from the Ogallala Aquifer, which extends from up into Nebraska down to close to where we're at in Texas. And the Lubbock area has started to run out of water in the last 20 years. The Dalhart area has started to run out of water over the last 10 to 15 years. And so the Cotton Belt has really shifted from the Lubbock area to Amarillo North area in Texas.
Okay. Now, you've got some background as a marketing consultant in the business and everything. How has that impacted, or has that been valuable to you in terms of setting up your own farming operation and marketing your crops?
Well, I think having a background in marketing, allowed me to have a comfort factor with the supply chain, just how crops were merchandised in the area. I started working with farmers in the Texas Panhandle in 2007,
mm-hmm.
and learned how corn flows, the kind of basis that elevators typically have, the different types of contracts that farmers use and what available contracts there were. And learning that first, I come from an ag econ background, so the marketing component was crucial in being able to forage and out of the Midwest into a lot higher risk farming environment.
Definitely. Well, what's your philosophy on marketing cotton?
I have a lot of different marketing philosophies. Most of them, would apply to any crop. I think sometimes, I think it's, for example, I think the biggest mistakes in marketing are always quantity related, not price. I think we sell too much of it or too little of it or all of it or none of it. It's usually not from selling something at a price that the price was that bad. So I think they're quantity related. And I think when it comes to estimating what price could do, I think it's a lot easier to be right on price than it is on time. For example, you might think that cotton could get back to 85 cents. And there's a big difference on whether that happens by January the 25th or if it's happening on April 2nd. So I think... So I try to focus on price, but then be a little flexible on the time. And I think it's important to know your next price. If I decide today I don't want to sell cotton,
mm-hmm.
well, then today I think it's important that I be able to state at what price I do want to make the next sale. The market's just too volatile to decide later. You need to know your next pricing point. And then I like to diversify the marketing. So a portion of the crop, whether it's a quarter or a third of the crop, to have put them in various pools. I like to put them in a few different pools just to kind of compare and contrast between them. And then on the rest of it, I like to use acre contracts. We're in an area of Texas with a little bit lower quality where sometimes weather can really diminish quality in a hurry if you don't expect it. For example, if we're too cool in the end of the season, in that September time frame, the quality can really diminish and the penalty for quality discounts in an acre contract is a little more forgiving than bale contract. So it's kind of how I go about it. Diversify the marketing tools that we use to sell the crop.
Mm-hmm. Crop insurance?
Yes, crop insurance is a big part of farming in Texas in general. One contrast from the Midwest I found in Texas, it's big, high hail risk country. So, every year we are always, debating, it's the mix. It's crop insurance, your multi-peril insurance, and your hail insurance. And the combination of the two, how many dollars you're protecting in amongst multi-peril crop insurance that protects against anything and almost anything. And the hail insurance, so it's a balance between the two.
Okay. I think when we talked earlier, last week, you mentioned something about there's some certain advantages to farming in your area that over, say, the Mid-South and the Southeast. Can you kind of explain that a little bit?
I've always, and I've worked with growers, talked with farmers in the Delta, the Deep South to the Texas Panhandle for the last couple decades. And on average, I think that the cost of production is 4 to 7 cents lower in the Texas Panhandle, which could be a combination of a little bit less insect pressure, different seed cost or other, maybe some chemical cost. But while you do have that cost advantage, the swing in what Mother Nature deals you, we might have, let's say we had the same average yield as someone in Mississippi Delta. Mm-hmm. We would probably, the same farm in Texas would probably have a lot wider range of the lowest yield to the highest yield that comprised of that average. Just a lot more volatility in the higher standard deviation risk.
Okay, great.